The Great Amulet, Chapter 2. Om, Blessed Lady, stainless supreme body of all thus gone ones, pacify all my evil. May auspiciousness be mine. Om Muni Muni Vimuni Vimuni Dara Chala Chalani Bhagavate Bhayavigyate Bhayaharini Bodhi Bodhi Bodhaya Bodhaya Budhili Budhili Chumbuli Chumbuli Svaha Sava Tathagata Hridaya Jushte Svaha Om Muni Muni Munivare. May I be consecrated with the consecrations of the incantations of all thus gone ones, all of which have been sealed with the great Vajra seal. Sava Tathagata Hridayishtanhad Dhishti Vajre Svaha. A great Brahmin and his retinue then entered into the assembly. The Blessed One addressed the great Brahmin. Great Brahmin, this is the Queen of Incantations, the Great Amulet, a dharani that is an invincible essence seal, a wish-fulfilling gem that sparkles all around with a pristine garland of flames. A son or daughter of noble family is freed from all their misdeeds as soon as they hear this dharani. Great Brahmin, the body of a person in whose heart this incantation resides should be understood to be a Vajra. Fire cannot harm their body. How do I know? Once in the great city of Kapilavastu, the child Rahula Bhadra resided in his mother's womb. At that time, the Shakya girl Gopa threw herself into a fire, but a lotus appeared within it. Rahula Bhadra had brought this incantation to mind while he was dwelling in the womb, and he instantly quelled the fire by simply recollecting it. The fire did not touch the body of the Shakya girl Gopa. Why? This incantation has been blessed by all the thus gone ones. That is why, great Brahmin, the fire did not burn her. Poison, too, cannot separate one from life. How so? Well, great Brahmin, once in the city called Pañcarakṣā, a wealthy and powerful merchant had a son who cast incantations. Through the power of his incantation, he summoned the Naga king, Takshaka. But he was careless after summoning him, and failed to control him. The Naga king angrily bit him, causing a painful sensation. He thought, "This is how my life ends." Although several magicians were called, none could cure him of the poison. A very compassionate woman with lay vows named Vimala Vishuddhi lived in the city of Shurparaka. She knew how to recite this great Queen of Incantations, so she went to where the man was staying and uttered this great incantation. By just reciting it to him once, the poison vanished and he regained consciousness. After he was delivered from that intense suffering, the merchant's son took the mantra of the great incantation to heart, precisely according to the prescribed procedure. But how do we really know, great Brahmin? In the great city of Varanasi, during the reign of a king known by the name Brahmadatta, the monarch who ruled the land along the eastern border amassed a 4-division army and surrounded Varanasi in preparation for attack. The ministers said to King Brahmadatta, "Your Majesty, if the enemy army should take the city, what tactic could we employ to defeat them? Please tell us." The king then declared, "Do not worry. I have a Queen of Incantations called the Great Amulet. With it, I will defeat and pulverize this 4-division army." The ministers all bowed their heads and said, "O great king, what is this thing about which we have never before heard?" The king replied, "I will demonstrate it." Thereupon King Brahmadatta washed his head with various perfumes, donned clean clothes, and wrote down the Great Queen of Incantations precisely as prescribed. Placing it inside his topknot, he used the Great Queen of Incantations as his armor and entered into battle. He then single-handedly defeated the entire 4-division army. Defeated, the enemy monarch was released once he took refuge in the incantation. Great Brahmin, this directly reveals the great power of the Queen of Incantations, which has been blessed by the essence and seal of all thus gone ones. Given this evidence, it should be upheld. It should be seen as equal to all thus gone ones. It should be viewed as something that at a future time, in future contexts, will benefit beings who have short lifespans, little merit, and meager possessions. Great Brahmin, anyone who writes the Great Amulet, Queen of Incantations, precisely as prescribed, and fastens it around their arm or around their neck, should be understood to be blessed by all thus gone ones. They should be understood to have the body of all thus gone ones. They should be understood to have a great Vajra body. They should be understood to possess the essence of the relics of all thus gone ones. They should be understood to have the eye of all thus gone ones. They should be understood to have a great Vajra body. They should be understood to possess a body of blazing flame. They should be understood to possess indestructible armor. They should be understood as one who vanquishes all foes. They should be understood as one who overcomes all obscurations and misdeeds. They should be understood as one who purifies migration to the hells. Why? This can be understood from a previous event. Great Brahmin, in another land there was a monk who lacked faith, had lapsed in his training in the family of the thus gone one, and had become a thief. He stole from the communal supplies and consumed the articles amassed by the Sangha from the 4 directions, taking them all as his own. Later he was afflicted with a severe illness and experienced intense pain. Distressed and with no recourse or protection, he wailed loudly. Then Great Brahmin, a man with lay vows who lived in the area, heard his wailing. He approached the monk, wrote down the Queen of Incantations, the Great Amulet, and fastened it around the monk's neck. As soon as he attached the Queen of Incantations, the Great Amulet, around the monk's neck, the monk's painful sensations were completely soothed, and he was released from every illness. He spent that night restored to health, and then he died in a state of mindfulness. When he discarded his body, he was born in the great Avicii hell. The other monks placed his corpse on the funeral pyre, with the Queen of Incantations, the Great Amulet, still fastened to his neck. As soon as the monk was born in the Avicii hell, all the painful sensations of the beings there were completely quelled, and they were satiated with every comfort. All the roaring fires in the Avicii hell went out completely. Yama's minions were all surprised, and reported in detail to Yama, king of the law. The unbearable suffering of beings caused by their karmic actions has been totally quelled. It is completely amazing, Your Majesty. What is being witnessed in the narrow confines of hell? The burning coals, ever present on the bodies of beings, have gone out. The saws no longer work. The razor blades do not cut. The iron-trunked shalmali trees have split. All the iron cauldrons have cooled. In the forest of sword leaves, the leaves born from karma do no harm. Yama, king of the law, you govern people with justice. It is right for you to tell us the reason for this is no trifling thing. When the embodiment of the law, the king of the law, resolute in justice, heard such words from those bereft of compassion, He said, "Tell me immediately what happened. Tell me what it is like." Then Yama's cruel minions, wicked in their disposition, said to Yama, king of the law, "A great being, your majesty, was born in the narrow confine of this Avicii hell. Avicii is its name, and so it is called a narrow confine. This person who made beings happy, we see he has diverse karma. Being happy everywhere, he is now going to a divine realm." When Yama perceived this, the king of the law was amazed and said, "In a previous lifetime, the body of this miraculous person was beautified by the amulet fastened around his neck. Just as the chaitya of the teacher was beautified by many hundreds of physical remains." Then the yaksha guardians of hell said to Yama, "King of the law, your majesty, why is this called an amulet?" The king of the law replied, "One who recollects it, word for word, will not go to the lower realms. The insightful who meditate on the amulet go to pleasant realms. You guardians of hell, go to Pushkalavati. Look at the tall pyre there, surrounded by gods. After seeing it, you will feel love for all beings." Yama's minions went that very night to Pushkalavati. There and then, close to the king's palace, they saw a pyre engulfed in a single blazing light. They also saw a human corpse with the amulet fastened around its neck. Gods, nagas, gandharvas, yakshas, rakshasas, and kinnaras were all around it, performing unexcelled worship. The yakshas then named it the amulet pyre. Then, when they understood what Yama, king of the law, had recognized, the yakshas returned and reported everything in detail, saying, "Your Majesty, it is exactly as you said." As soon as the yakshas spoke their final word, the great being discarded his hell realm body and was born among the gods of the 33. For that reason, he was called the god Pratisara Purvin. Great Brahmin, such was fully understood in the past. Consequently, this great amulet should definitely be memorized. It should be written down. It should be recited aloud. It should always be attached to the body as prescribed and be worn. It continuously frees one from all suffering and misfortune. It delivers from all the terrors of the lower realms. One can no longer be struck down by lightning. How is it that one cannot be struck by lightning? Great Brahmin, this is understood from the past. In the prominent city of Hingumadana lived a prominent merchant named Vimala Shankar. He was very wealthy with much gold, and his treasury and granary were abundantly full. He was also renowned as a trader. At one time, this great trader procured a large ship and set out on the ocean, where sea monsters seized his vessel. Nagas, wishing to destroy the vessel, became agitated, bellowed roars of thunder, hurled bolts of lightning and meteors, and began to cast down thunderbolts. The merchants were plunged into distress. Seeing the violently agitated Nagas, the bolts of lightning and meteors, and the rain of thunderbolts, and seeing their vessel seized by sea monsters, they began to wail. They prayed to their respective deities, but none came to their aid. They then approached their stable-minded captain and woefully said, "O great being, please protect and deliver us from this great danger." The stable-minded and intelligent captain then said to the distraught merchants, fear not, O merchants, come to your senses. I will deliver you from the sea of great suffering." Then, having regained their composure, the merchant said, O great being, please promptly tell us what will free us from the obstructors. Keen One, it is on your power that our lives depend. Tell us about your deep insight and what you will do next. Then the leader of the traders said these words to them. I have a great incantation that is renowned as an amulet. Powerful and mighty, it dispels all harm-doers. With it, I will deliver us from the great danger of intense suffering. Then the great trader wrote down this great Queen of Incantations and fastened it to the tip of a flag. As soon as he fastened the great amulet, the great Queen of Incantations, to the tip of the flag, the sea monsters all saw the vessel become a single flame. The Nagas, adopting a loving attitude, approached them and began to offer worship. The sea monsters were burned by the power of the great amulet, Queen of Incantations, and they dispersed and disappeared. The great Nagas even transported the group of travelers to an island of jewels. Thus the great amulet, a great Queen of Incantations replete with wisdom, is blessed by all thus gone ones. Great Brahmin, this is why it is called a great incantation. It should surely be fastened to the tip of a flag and carried. It pacifies all wind, cold, unseasonable clouds, lightning and thunderbolts. It helps one escape from conflicts and disputes with gods, humans and assurers. All biting flies, mosquitoes, locusts, rats and other types of creatures, in their various forms, that are injurious to crops, will be rendered powerless and be pacified. All hostile beasts, birds and predators will vanish. All flowers, fruits, leaves, trees, medicinal plants, grain, and so forth, will increase and become juicy, delicious, and tender. They will all ripen to perfection. Disasters from excess or inadequate rain will not occur. It will rain seasonably, not unseasonably. The great Nagas who live in the area will pour down torrents of rain perfectly season after season. In any land, the great amulet, Queen of Incantations, circulates. Beings will come to know it, worship and revere it with various perfumes, incenses and flowers, wrap it in various fabrics, fasten it to the tips of flags, and circumambulate it while singing and playing instruments and cymbals. These great people will then have their expectations fulfilled by the gods, such as Shakra and Brahma, precisely in accordance with their wishes. The more accurately it is done as prescribed, the more effective it will be. A person who wants a son gets a son. The pregnant woman will be well, the fetus will develop nicely, and the child will be born easily. The fetus will develop according to the proper stages, and be born at the proper time. How can I be sure? Listen as before, great Brahmin. Right here, in the land of Magadha, there was a king named Prasaripani, who did not have a son. Why was he called Prasaripani? As soon as the king was born, he extended his hands, grabbed his mother's breasts, and suckled to his satisfaction. Once he touched the two breasts, they turned a golden color, and their milk consistently increased. The king was thus named Prasaripani. Moreover, when beggars came to the king would extend his right hand into the sky. Because the king was a bodhisattva, the gods with strong devotion for the Buddha would fill his hand with gold, gems, and special divine jewels. The king thus gave liberally to all the beggars who approached him. With a mere thought, the king gave every comfort and wealth to all beggars in accordance with their wishes. Because he wanted a son, the king performed extensive worship and paid great homage to the gods, but no son was granted to him. He began to pay homage before the reliquaries of the previous thus gone ones. There he worshipped and paid homage, presented gifts, maintained temporary vows, and performed great meritorious deeds. The gifts he offered were inexhaustible. Why was that? Previously, great Brahmin, in the prominent market town of Kushinagara in the Mala region, right here in the land of Magadha, there lived a prominent merchant named Dharmachakra. He was a great being whose mind was set on the Dharma and who followed the doctrine of the Blessed One, Prabhutarātna. Driven by deep compassion for all beings, he taught the Dharma, beginning with the Queen of Incantations, the Great Amulet. Once a pauper heard those teachings and told the wealthy merchant, "I will work in your lordship's house as a servant and listen to the Dharma. When I earn something, I will honor the Dharma with it." He thus worked in the merchant's house and listened to the Dharma. Later, the wealthy merchant gave him a gold coin. The pauper formed the motivation to awaken in order to protect all beings, regarded all beings as equal, offered a handful of jewels to the Great Amulet, and made the aspiration, "Through the great fruition of this generosity, may my poverty and the poverty of all beings be totally eradicated." That is why Prasāritapāni's generosity is inexhaustible. Prasāritapāni thus performed many diverse meritorious deeds. He worshipped everyone, from gods up to the blessed Buddhas. When he did, the gods of the pure abodes appeared to him in a dream and declared, "O great king, there is a great dharani, a queen of incantations called the Great Amulet. It is a wish-fulfilling gem, glittering all around with a pristine garland of flames, whose seal and essence are invincible. If you write it as prescribed, as it is taught in the ritual manual, and fasten it as prescribed to the body of the principal queen who has been observing a fast, you will then have a son." When the king awoke and the night passed, he assembled all the Brahmin diviners versed in calculations, writing, lunar mansions, and celestial bodies. Then, on the day of Pusha, the king of constellations, they meticulously washed the body of the principal queen, precisely in accordance with the ritual manual. She observed a fast, after which this amulet, a great queen of incantations, was written as prescribed and fastened around her neck. The king then performed extensive worship to the chaityas of the Buddhas and gifted many spectacular gems to beings. When 9 months had passed, a handsome, good-looking and attractive boy was born, replete with a fine complexion and a perfect figure. Knowing this, great Brahmin, this great queen of incantations, revered by all the thus gone ones, is renowned as a wish-fulfilling and invincible great jewel amulet. It is the perpetual crown jewel of Chakra. When Chakra, lord of the gods, wishes to wage war on the Asuras, he uses it as armor, and then fastens it to the crown of his head, and then defeats them all. Having defeated the enemy, he successfully, easily, and happily enters the city of the gods. He remains undefeated by all the Asuras. Thus, great Brahmin, a bodhisattva who wears the great amulet, great queen of incantations, is unaffected by all maras from the moment he first engenders the intent to awaken. A person who fastens it to their body or neck will be blessed by all thus gone ones. They will be fully protected by all bodhisattvas, and they will always and continually be venerated, worshipped, and honored by all gods, humans, kings, ministers, Brahmins, and householders. They will be respected and worshipped by all gods, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, and Mahoragas. Even the Blessed One, the vanquisher of demonic hordes, will call them a great being. They will be free of all illness, and all infectious diseases, disasters, and epidemics will be quelled. This great being will be free of all anguish, and will be forever guarded, protected, and concealed by all the gods. Once one has written down these essential syllables of this invincible great mantra, one should constantly wear them fastened to the body. They should be continually brought to mind and be recited. One should meditate upon them intently. All suffering, nightmares, bad omens, and inauspicious events will be vanquished, and every sublime joy will occur. Here is the mantra formula, which brings about any effect and accomplishes virtue. Tadyata om amrite amrita vare 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 pravare vishuddhe hom hom pat pat svaha. Om amrita vilokini gabe samrakshani akashani hom hom pat pat svaha. That was the invincible essence mantra. Om vimale vipule jayavare jayavahine amrite viraje hom hom pat pat svaha. Om bara bara sambara sambara indriya balavishodani ruru chale hom hom pat pat svaha. That was the quintessence incantation. Om manidare vajrini mahapratisare hum hum pat pat svaha. That was the supremely secret essence mantra. These dharani mantra formulas were uttered in unison, as a single utterance, by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. These mantras are the essence and armor of the Great Amulet, Great Queen of Incantations. They are sealed by the seal of all thus gone ones. If even hearing them is rare, how much more so is writing them down, reciting them, reading them, memorizing them, or teaching them to others. These activities should be understood as fulfilling the aims of the Buddha. This dharani has been praised, rejoiced in, and prophesied by all thus gone ones. This invincible dharani, the Great Amulet, is exceptionally rare. It is exceedingly difficult even to hear the name of this Great Amulet. This great dharani purifies all evil. It is strong, mighty, splendorous, and shining. Its good qualities are extolled widely. It is the powerful vanquisher of all the gods of the Mara realm. It severs Mara's noose, which binds habitual patterns together. It neutralizes those with harmful intent who use rival mantras and mudras, poison kakodas, the enlistment of kiranas, and hostile magic. It protects those who take great pleasure in making the finest offerings to all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and noble assemblies. It protects those dedicated to comprehending, writing down, reading, reciting, speaking, listening to, and memorizing the great vehicle. Great Brahmin, this great amulet, Queen of Incantations, which perfects one all the way to the complete awakening of Buddhahood, is utterly unassailable. Just like me, the teacher, the vanquisher of foes, it receives great reverence everywhere.